ladies and gents, welcome to one of the most anticipated round 2 TTL sets. This Ozone guy, part of my channel, he's watching the chat a lot. He's played thousands and thousands of games. He's been an upcoming player, really motivated to compete and do well in Age of Empires 2 right now. He finds himself up against Ciskhan, a player from France that I didn't even know about till like maybe 6 or 8 months ago. I had to ask Sato. I was like, dude, who's this French guy? Like, whose account is that? And Sato said, it's a new guy. He got good really quick. And I was like, I then said, what are you eating? What are you feeding people in France? To which he replied, baguettes. And then we both laughed, and all of the viewers thought that that was funny. And then we carry on with the story. But yeah, so 2 players that Titans League is kind of, they're kind of designed for players who you might not know as much about, but they have been in that top 100 conversation. And, well, let me tell you, they're both really good in aggressive settings. So we've got Gold Rush here, a map where you normally want to push towards the middle. Ozone's playing as the Poles. Will be interesting to see how the Poles do now that they've received a slight nerf. They still have lots of crazy options. I think they're terrifying to any civ if they can get the walls down. Then over here, we've got the Chinese. And actually, the same thing can be said about the Chinese. Not the nerf part, but the fact that they're terrifying if they can get their walls down. You think of the Poles, you think about their farms. Think about how much gold they get when they mine stone, which is especially helpful on the map where you have limited gold. And then usually it's their unique techs, right? Like their unique tech with their hussars that gives them the trample damage, but then also the other unique tech that makes their knights cost, I think, 60% off on gold. Now, all that said, you know, the Chinese have great options, right? If you make knights, they have fully upgraded halberdiers, and they also have heavy camel. If you go into infantry, they have great archers. Like, there's not a lot the Chinese can stop. And I'd say the weakness of Chinese is more so, can they maintain their Vil lead, and can they get the walls down? So I'll be curious to see if Ozone wants to go aggressive here, or if he just wants to wall up, because, I mean, the map is actually really good for him if he wants to wall up. And yeah, it looks like he's already walling a little bit. It even is going as far as to get Loom right now. So, not too bad. Now, I don't want to spoil much, because in the event that Ozone wins this series, I don't want to talk about his prep. I don't share certain bits of information with you guys. And yes, that is coming from the guy who's told you every story about his personal life that he really has. But what I will tell you is that Ozone is a little curious about how Ciskhan was going to play this series. Because what we both seen on ladder, because we both played Ciskhan a lot, is that he loves Atacama, right? But the conundrum is that Ozone's also a player who'd be really good on Atacama. So I don't know what their civ draft was. I don't know what the maps are. A Gold Rush, I find, is like kind of in the middle of any closed map and any open map in terms of standard land maps. And remember, game 1 is always after they both have picked their maps already for their home maps, and then they do a series of bans. So they're both like, yeah, we don't love Gold Rush, but we don't hate it either. Yeah, Ozone asked me to practice like at least 6 times. Ozone has been practicing with a lot of other people too. So I think Ozone is one of the most motivated and prepared players in Silver. But then again, you know, other people don't necessarily share information with me, so I don't know exactly. But he's put in a lot of practice, and he really likes to compete. And the Frenchman over here trying to click up here to feudal, and oof, awkward, pain. Oh God, I can't. Okay, I'm back. Oh man, if you've ever played and you're trying to click up to feudal, you know how painful that moment was. I needed to step away for a second. Holy, that irked me. And it wasn't necessarily his fault. He just misjudged it. And for perspective, with a perfect Chinese start, you normally have idle time of 25 seconds. Actually, it might even be 23 seconds, but I think it's 25 seconds. Because you start with 0 food income, so there will be idle time. But you research Loom right away. Anyways, he's on his way up, as is Ozone. Ozone's going to be fully walled. Ozone, with the quick little dodge there, almost ran right into the town center. And he actually can sense that this is going to be a full wall from his opponent. And so he left so as to not get trapped. And he's about to hit feudal, and now he enters. And meanwhile, Ciskhan's going to see the walls. And Ozone sees a villa, and Ozone could kill not just one, but 2 villagers with this scout, potentially. This would be as horrible a start as it would really get here for yellow. Ozone knows there's going to be a blocking attempt, and so he's trying to get close after every hit. That could be another dead vill. Oh my god. What's happening? You got to try and quick wall this. You're not going to win the fight against the scout, or are you? Oh my god. Dang, man. Normally the conversation about Chinese is how cheap their techs are. It's how they have a villager lead and you can't do anything about it. But now the vill count's 23 versus 21. So yellow is 2 vills behind. And all Ozone's going to do is just boom. 10% of his farm's food income comes in instantly once he places the farms. He can take stone and receive gold income from that as well. And, I mean, my thought here is that Ozone is just going to play safe, right, behind his walls, and go up towards Castle Age and then decide on if he wants to boom or whatever. Also, the other thing is, like, yellow made a barracks and a blacksmith. So he has put 300-some wood into buildings that he can't really benefit from, whereas Ozone is putting all of his wood into the farms. And look at his food count already. This might actually be just be GG in early Castle Age. Man. I mean, and it's such a simple thing, but unfortunately, the timing on walls is something you've got to get right. And Ozone started walling, I think, at 15 pop. He played super safe with it. And yellow, by the way, didn't even scout this. So if it was a scout rush, there would have still been a gap there this whole time. But yeah, he does notice it now. We'll have to see what the resources look like. I'm also very curious how Ozone plays it economically now. And, oh, I'd love this too. Oh, it's such a great trend. You never want to make regular farms or non-full work farms, right? You always want it to be around this building, so why not just make everything else right next to the TC? God, I think, like, the way this is shaping up, Ozone's going to have knights on the field before yellow even clicks Castle Age. Well, maybe that's wrong. But thinking about how Ozone can play this, I don't see how he can really make any wrong moves. If he makes it to Castle Age and drops town centers, he'll just continue to have an insane economy. If he makes it to Castle Age and makes knights, he's going to have full map control of the middle. He could even follow that up with a forward castle because of the stone count. There's just so many things Ozone can do here. And so a clean play from him. And one of the worst starts we've actually seen in Titans League Silver for any player here in yellow. We're also, Ozone Scout's still alive. We have a little woo-woo-woo here for yellow, so that might actually be the third unit to go down here in a second. But Ozone's just going to look around and see what he can find. Probably happy that the Scout's still alive after those 2 kills. Did T90 already go over how Poles are getting like 30% gold now from mining stone instead of the original 50%? Yes. I mentioned it 3 times already at the start of this game. I think 2 times, 1 time, maybe 0 times. But yeah, I think the big thing, and I like the nerf, by the way, Preston, if you're curious, I think the big thing about it for me is it forces the Poles to actually send some villagers to gold as well if they want to make army. It's still really crazy bonus, and you still should take advantage of it. But you notice how he's got 4 on gold, and then he's got 4 on stone. It feels like you have to do that now, whereas before, you could just slap extra villagers on stone, and it would feel fine. I like that. I still do think, though, that the Poles are going to be... My personal feeling is that the unique tech should not give 60% off on knights. I think that's excessive. I think it should be more like 45 or 50%. And then I think the Civ's still one of the best Civs on any map they can wall. But, you know, we'll see what happens in the long run. Pole's still a crazy civilization. And lots you can do with this civ, as Ozone's going to show us here. 18-minute castle age. And there he drops a town center, and then he drops another TC. And I like the approach. You know, eventually he might want to build up towards taking the middle. Also, Ozone's collecting the lions. Let's go! Woo, 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 woo! I saw he added a spearman. He actually sees more lions over here. It'd be funny if you take the lions over and sit it right next to this gold. Yellow's going archers, by the way. Ozone goes for his wood upgrade, his farm upgrade. His eco is going to be insane. Yet again here, like, can you really do anything wrong in this position? It feels like you're going to have a defensive castle if any pressure ever comes in. A bright side for Yellow, of course, is that Ozone doesn't have any defense on this right now, so like, maybe he could make something happen. And we even see a market here for Ozone, because he's like, I need to balance out my eco a little bit more. All right, I'm waiting for this Spearman to die because I keep getting the attack signal while I'm casting. Spearman's finally going to die. Woo, 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 woo. Meanwhile, we have the archers moving out. Did Ozone see that? Ozone might have actually spotted that. And if he did, that's incredible. He might end up rushing down his castle sooner rather than later. And Yellow kills that scout now. So if Ozone didn't see it, he has a moment to look back there. It's always a little weird, though, because it's just that circle. And if they move out of the circle, you might not catch it. If he was really panicked here, he might drop a siege workshop. And there's the siege workshop. Probably not going to hurt because of how good his economy is so far. Yellow obviously looking for damage as Yellow drops town center number 2. Yeah, it is possible that he tried to pull the lions because of wanting to drop a castle later. If I had to guess, though, I think he just wanted something to do. I think he was bored. He's an Arabia player. He's like, I need to do something here. Oh, God, that castle hurts me. That castle brings me great pain. But I guess, like, you don't want to take any damage in this position. And so he's definitely freaked out about this. And so better safe than sorry for Ozone. And in the end, as long as he doesn't, you know, let the army go back here, I think he should end up being okay. And Yellow's probably kind of happy to see the castles there, right? Like, if the castle was here, obviously that'd be much worse for Yellow in the long run. There's TC number 3 now for Ciskhan. So that castle was painful, to say the least. And Ozone will know that that was not ideal, and that's kind of the greed of him not having any army or any presence in the middle. I think he had an easy opportunity to make his third town center on this gold, and he can't take this gold, right? So he's kind of... I know he can get gold income from his stone, but he doesn't have any stone income. He doesn't have a lot of gold income right now. But at the end of the day, what do you want with the poles? You want fully walled base, you want farms everywhere, and you want a castle. You don't need much gold at all to make one of the most prevalent units the game has ever seen in the night. So, I think he's completely fine. Like, he knows it clearly as well, because he's not even in a rush to get more onto gold. He's just going to go farms everywhere. I'm going to check resources collected here in a moment. 47 eco right now for Ciskhan, who's made army. He's getting relics at the moment. And he's thinking map control as well, obviously. Let's check resources collected now. He's got a massive lead. He's got a massive lead with food. Gold is the real difference maker, but Ozone does not need the gold. Polish farms, in case you guys didn't already know this, are the best farms in the game. I believe that's been proven in tests because of the food boost. Let me put it to you this way. The test kind of depends. But I believe they are by far the best farms in the game because how much food something brings in over a long period of time is not as helpful as getting this food spike. Like, you could argue Sicilian farms are best farms in the game. I think that Slav farms should be buffed back up to 15%. I think there should be no question about it. Slavs are not very good in our meta right now. I don't know why we haven't seen that change yet, but they were at 1.15% and pushed down to 12, I think. If I'm yellow, I probably would have stopped making crossbows. I think that he's made too much army for the time being. But I think what I do is I build up towards a castle here, and then I try and keep my army alive for as long as possible. You hope your opponent doesn't all-in you here, basically. Yeah, so at least with the discussions I've had with people, is Polish farms are better than Slav farms. And I can tell you as a player, going based on feel with the boom, because of all the other bonuses with Poles and getting the food instantly and the things you can do with it, Polish farms are by far the best. So here's what I want to see from Ozone. He got his unique tech. You've got two options here. You make like 5 to 10 knights, which wouldn't really make a ton of sense to get the unique tech. But anyways, you make army, and then you just control this area and drop a castle here. Or you go crazy with the army. You make like 30 knights. You take this area and drop the castle here. I agree. We're going to eventually see the 15% back on Slavs. And we're going to eventually see... I'm hoping, of course. Another thing I've been a big proponent of is giving Persians back their faster working TCs in Dark Age. Basically, all the bonuses that at one point the devs were like, hey, we need to nerf this. And then soon after, they released the Poles, Burgundians, and Lithuanians, and Bohemians, and, Hindustanis and Gurjaras. It's a different time now, right? There's a lot more power spikes. There's a lot more strength to some of these newer civilizations. So I think some other civs are going to be brought in to catch up. And I think it can be really cool. So yeah, I think we're going to have Slavs. I hope we're going to have Slavs eventually be a little bit more interesting in that regard. But Ozone doesn't seem to want to look here. And if he were to try, he wouldn't be able to deny this castle. It's 82 villagers versus 105. Ozone's made a lot of knights. And now maybe he's thinking, I need imp. Nope, he's just making more knights. He's going to see this castle, and there might be a little bit of panic. As he backs away. No ballistics yet. Let's see if he cancels those knights or if he feels like he has enough. Because obviously Imperial Age with the middle would be awesome for Ozone. I will say this about Yellow. He has a massive army, man. And you might click him faster. So what you do is you go Arb, you go Halb. The weakness of Poles is that they don't get the final armor. Also, this is a good fight. This should be a good fight. If he micros back to his castle, it's a really good fight. Ozone taking the fight. Probably a situation where you would never want to take this fight if you're any other civ. For him, it feels like the resources are... it's okay to toss away some resources because it's more costly for his opponent, but... That wasn't that pretty there for him. So, Ozone wanted the unique tech, wanted to flood the map as 56 on food. Want to check resources collected again. He's collected 8,000 more resources than his opponent. The most important thing here is going to be, can he keep his opponent off this area? Now, one of the best things you can do in these situations, because you know that Yellow's got the slower army, is you fight the sides of his base. But look at how Ciskhan's playing this. This is so smart. Stonewalling the sides is such a good decision. A lot of players wait for that. A lot of players wait a couple minutes and then they get punished. This is perfect. And no, I think the knights are so cheap, you just don't make any other unit. You need more stables in the front, but I think you just go 80 Cavalier, basically. Or like 60 Cavalier nonstop with Trebs. Potentially Onager, actually. Onager, Bombard Cannon, some Siege would be really helpful to mix in. But it's so easy to get the numbers. I think the big thing for Ozone that's maybe holding him back is his stables being at home. But Yellow's position is way better than I thought it would be when we saw what we saw earlier. And the stone walls are making me think that he can really win this game. For Yellow, we've had like different unit types, different types of upgrades, university, barracks, archer range upgrades. A lot of depth. For Ozone, he's just like, well, I'm going to make one unit. And it's so cheap for me, I could just make more than you, and we're going to take good trades and hope for the best. Let's see what yellow does. He goes for fortified wall. Let's go. Look at Ozone. He's looking for damage. What a crazy game this has actually turned into after the start, guys. Didn't think it would have happened. If I'm yellow, though, I chop the back wood right now. So I don't accidentally overchop. We have Conscription coming in, as well as Elite Olbuk right now for Ozone, who wants to drop another castle here. We've got Treb coming out for yellow already, and this castle is denied right now. Ozone's going to secure this stone. He also has sold a bunch of wood for gold. And he's getting Cavalier, but no final armor upgrade for him, and no finishing this castle for him either. Ozone is way behind an army. But also no Arbalest yet here for Ciskhan. Also no Halb. He really needs to prioritize getting both of those upgrades. Ozone's might even opt to take a fight here if he doesn't see those upgrades in yet. Having neither is a bit of a problem. Look at all the stables now. Stables, archery ranges. All right, here we go. Skirms are obviously very helpful against all these things, but the problem is population efficiency, which is why I feel like Onager could be really good. Halb is on the way. Arbalest still not in. Halb is 40 seconds away. Like, the units are cheap. You just take these fights all day. Take the fights, and even if you just take the Trebs, you're okay, because you're still holding the middle position. This gun really needed those upgrades to come in faster here, guys. And Ozone he has 4 on gold, and he has 20 more Cavalier on the way. This is perfect for Ozone, because he still has Trebuchets on the hill. He's taking out yellow's Trebuchets, and that might be the game. Really sad moment for yellow to have the Halb upgrade come in. Like, he even prioritized all the defensive blacksmith upgrades, but Halb is actually more important than some of those because of the additional bonus damage you do. But yeah, Ozone is going to spam like a madman now. I think he also has Elite Olbuk, by the way. Yeah, he got that. So they're going to be fine against the Halbs. They actually also have 6 Pierce Armor, which makes them really solid against archers as well. Whereas like units like Samurai, for example, of the poor Japanese have, I think, 5 Pierce Armor. Or is it 4? I think it's 5. The extra Pierce Armor is obviously helpful here. And yeah, I think Ozone, I mean, we saw it at the start. He killed 2 villagers. He had the Dream start. He's got the Dream position now with all the castles towards the middle. And Ciskhan doesn't have anything to show for this. The big issue for yellow in that moment, though, was just simply getting the upgrades, which is not something Chinese normally struggle with. I think yellow did have a chance there. As crazy as the polls can be and all the things that could be said, I think he had an opportunity because he had the Trebs a little faster and he had a bigger army. But, you know, Thumbring and Arbalest now coming in, so we could maybe see a true test of how this fight might go. And, like, even that positioning is just insane, right? But still not having Arbalest is a painful situation, and for Ozone, he just always makes more army. It's not about population efficiency, it's just how much can you spam. And Poles are almost like the Goths of the stables, you know. They don't actually, technically speaking, that would be humans, I think, or Franks, because of the faster production speed bonuses. But anyways, my point is that you can make a lot. Ozone made 109 Cavalier. Red made 97 Arbalest. And Ozone took some really good fights this game. And that was like kind of the dream start to the series for Ozone, because he had a little bit of a gift at the start, and then he gets to take Chinese away from his opponent, which can be really good on some of the other maps they may have drafted. So, would have liked to have seen how this game goes, though, if Yellow had Arbalest and Halb when that fight happened. Because I think what hurt him there was not just losing the army, but it was losing the Trebs. You always want to be continuously pushing there when you're on this side of the hill. And I think Elite Olbuk was a little preemptive there from Ozone. I think a lot of players would actually have added Onager, like I said. And the Onager upgrade is way cheaper than the Elite Olbuk upgrade is. And I think it would have had much more of an effect, as well as like maybe Bombard Cannon. Another thing too, like he went crazy here. Look, he got full armor as well for those things. So if he takes a bad fight and then suddenly there's still like 50 Arbs and there's 40 Halbs and 4 Trebs, he'd have no siege. his Cavalier might not have been enough. And then the old book, even though they do have higher Pierce armor, it'd still be taking a lot of damage from the Arbalest. So, anyways, just things to think about there as Ozone dominated that game economically with the pulls. And we'll move quickly on to game number 2. So remember that time at the start of the first game when I said that we wouldn't have more terrain that was similar to yellow, so we were sticking with those colors? That was a fun time. Kind of forgot about Atacama being this color. We're still going to keep Ciskhan in the yellow, though, and he's gone for the Magyars, and then Ozone is playing as the Huns, who can be really good in these types of situations as well. Again, job of a caster is repeating himself from time to time. Ciskhan's one of the few players who would actually favorite Atacama on the ladder. There's a lot of players who would play Arabia, and then if they would be up against an arena player who had banned Arabia, they might have left open Atacama. But there's not many people who would actually just straight up favorite Atacama. And I know this because I play against both of these guys a lot. So that's pretty wild to me. And in my conversation with Ozone, he was like, yeah, I know he loves Atacama, but I'm also good at Atacama. So I guess he didn't want to ban it. And so we've got a good old Atacama showdown. A difference, obviously, between this version and the version on the ladder is that the ladder version doesn't have any water. So I think that's actually a plus here for Huns. Huns do start with minus 100 wood, but then they don't have to make houses, which means they're floating a lot of wood. And that allows them to be able to take the ponds a bit more freely. But, you know, I could see Ciskhan, who just skipping the water and going directly for a lot of scouts because Magyars are insane with that. Cheap scouts and also getting forging is just such a crazy time window where you can end the game with a fast rush. So we'll see. If I had to guess, I'd say we see precisely that. I think Ciskhan will skip docking because that suits his style a lot, and it also suits the Magyars. And then we have Ozone go for the dock approach. I think the key difference, because Ozone will definitely be behind with army. Like, there's going to be a period here where Ozone's going to have to weather the storm. But I think the big thing is actually if Ozone gets towered or not. Because what will happen when scouts show up is Ozone's going to small wall all of his resources, and the wood is always forward, right? So if the first couple scouts from Ciskhan show up, and they just attack the walls, and they only attack the walls and nothing else happens, it's fine. But if they're sitting on the walls and a tower goes up, Ozone has to leave, and then Ozone loses his whole wood line. And so I think that's an... Oh, sorry, just smacked my mic. I think that's a really important thing for Ciskhan to think about. Actually, all that said, Ciskhan's actually going to dock here, too. So he's going to try and go scouts, and he doesn't want to lose out on any potential water advantage. A little fight there from the scout from Ozone, just letting Ciskhan know that he knows he's there. And just keep an eye on the wood count. This is where you start to feel it kick in for the Huns not having to make houses. So he will be docking there and adding a fishing ship. And then for perspective, Ciskhan hasn't been able to make his fishing ship yet because he has to make the houses too. So that's why some people will just skip it all together. But it definitely puts you in a position where it feels like you have to kill villagers right away. So we'll see. Why didn't Ciskhan go halves from the start, knowing he's against poles? Well, you don't just open with pikemen. Opening with pikemen in Castle Age is bad. He wanted to open with something aggressive, so he went crossbow, which is more realistic, especially against walls. So his opening was archers, and he just continued to make archers the whole game. As for why he didn't get Halb, most likely it was that he was producing a lot, and he had it queued up behind units, which was possible. Or it's just something that, you know, he couldn't afford at the time, and he felt like more than anything against the poles, he needed numbers before the upgrades. So talking as a player who plays at the level of these two, it's like, you're focusing so much on expanding your eco and getting the blacksmith upgrades and then getting the production buildings and getting the numbers that sometimes there are situations where you're a little bit behind clicking like the Arbalest upgrade or the Halb upgrade, for example. So yeah, it's not so much a why. Like, I'm sure he's going to look back and say, oh crap, I needed to do that. Like, it's obvious for us, right? It was a mistake from him not to have it. But I just wanted to explain kind of what he was focusing on so you don't think that he was just like thinking he didn't need it. There's just a lot of things happening. So, also, Ozone's in chat. Hello, Ozone. Well played game 1. Also, no spoilers, please. This series was played yesterday. All right. So we have a minute left now on Fuel H for both players. And the main difference is just that one additional fishing ship from Ozone. And he's just done a little loop-de-loop here. So later on, he doesn't have to look at this. And he has now scouted all the deep fish. So the fishing ships will just naturally move to those fish later on. All right, there's the barracks. So Ozone has scouted this wood line. He's not scouted that this wood line's being taken. And then Ciskhan has scouted that this wood line's being taken, and he hasn't scouted the other lumber camp. So they both scouted one lumber camp from each other. When Ozone sees the fuel age here, he's going to have to be a little careful. He won't want to be found by this scout from Ciskhan, so he's running away. Remember, Magyars have the cheaper scouts, and they get forging for free. Forging would apply to the spearmen that will come out, but also the scouts. All right. There's the scout, and that's a sign of the damage that could be done. And now both players are just trying to confirm what their opponent's up to. Ozone, he doesn't see a barracks yet right now, which is interesting. He's also sending another Vil here, so he wants to take more fish. Small walls from Ozone. He's making scouts. No scouts from Ciskhan? Oh, he's delayed the stable. Look how confused Ozone must be right now. Ozone's like, no barracks, no stable. What is happening? Up against Magyars. My brain might actually say, is he going to fight for my pond? Because that scout just attacked that palisade wall. And now he sees the stable. So that's actually a really good find from him. And now Ciskhan's going to wall up the wood line. So let's see how quickly he does this. We've got 29 pop versus 34. So Ozone really flying ahead in population right now. And he's even going to try and dock in the north. This is crazy. Like, Cross is a map that has a lot more pond focus. I don't think I've seen a player in Silver try and dock all 3 ponds. It's big investment, and you're just kind of skipping farms altogether to go fishing ships. You can see the farm focus is what Ciskhan's going for now. Archer range now from Ozone, who just killed that scout and didn't... Oh, did lose a Vil. I'm sorry, I missed that. But killed the scout in the process. So well played all around from both players. And keep an eye on the amount on food. You do have berries coming in as well. And what Ozone's thinking is this guy hasn't made scouts. So since he doesn't have scout numbers, I can move out with archers and some spearmen probably. Actually, moving forward with the spearmen is essential. If he doesn't move forward with spearmen, scouts can pick off the archers. So we'll see what he does. I think it was ACCM in Platinum League in the first season. Oh, just passing. Oh my God. Tell me he... Did anyone notice that? Okay, Ozone notices now. Yeah, I think it was ACCM in the first season of Platinum on this map that did take 3 pawns now that I think about it. It certainly is going to have more eco working. Okay, archers are there. Spearmen are there. Ozone, will he see the scouts? This is dangerous, man. It's Magyars, and they'll have a hill, too. Look how fast the villager goes down. Bonk, dead. Spearman, bonk, dead. More villagers, bonk, dead. Like, Magyars are insane. Just like that, it's been 3 villagers killed now in total for Ciskhan, because he killed the one earlier. And the like how he's made his army or delayed making his army has been really fascinating. But there is still more army for Ozone. And he's now brought archers to sit next to this wood line. These villagers could all die. But normally you're just going to move them. And ow, he's going to make a tower. Yellow now looping these scouts back home, realizing this is a problem. Ozone still has to kind of respect the scouts could loop in here. But now he's probably thinking he's got to come home surely. So I need my own spearmen there. And this is a really good game between 2 really talented players. I think whoever wins this series genuinely has a decent chance in their best of 5 in the next round. And that person's going to be Licks. I think Lix is still the favorite. He's like the seasoned vet, the seasoned pro. But I think with the motivation factor being big, I could actually see it happening. We've got so many scouts here from yellow. And there are spearmen frozen. If he didn't have the spearmen, yellow would have probably already engaged. These villagers can safely chop wood. These villagers can still safely chop wood. And all Ozone's hoping for is that these scouts don't go to his base. He's like, no, stay at home. I don't want you to hit my base. That's a lot of scouts. That's a ton of scouts. Ozone's getting upgrades for his own scouts, too. He knows this is going to be full feudal. This is what Atacama's known for. And now he knows that his opponent has too many. But he can't get away. Oh, God. He takes the fight. No bloodlines yet for yellow. And the choke point made it awkward. And that actually worked out well for Ozone. He's going to add a second stable. His opponent has 15 scouts, though. Holy crap. That's so many scouts. And you can't house wall with Huns, by the way. So, like, if there's ever a quick wall scenario, you're working with only walls, which is so much harder. I think yellow is going to gold just to get bloodlines here. And oh my god. He'll have armor and he'll have forging. No bloodlines. HP is actually similar. And still yellow is being patient. But you could tell he wants to take the engagement. But he's also not sure. He's shown Ozone the army. Hun stables do work faster. So now it's 2 stables for Ozone versus the 2 stables from yellow. Ozone needs another stable. I don't know. I'm not in love with additional archers here. But that's just because my style is all in scouts. I think that Ozone could kind of manage the archer play. He's also adding more spearmen. He's got 9 spearmen. So if the spearmen were all with the main group, that would suddenly be almost impossible for yellow to engage against before bloodlines. Now yellow's getting bloodlines. And now yellow's going for a 3rd stable. So yeah, full stable play from yellow. Also, fishing ships have always been working here and here for Ozone. Food here slowly running out. And yellow's actually just going to leave this woodline. Man, he's been so patient. And maybe Ozone needs to force the issue on, like, some of the other resources? Like, I don't know. This is crazy, man. So they both have fully upgraded scouts. Ozone has 15. It's 22 for yellow. Oh, man. Yellow clicks up to Castle Age. So is Ozone going to stay in this all-in mode? Is he still going to produce? Or is that what he's thinking, too? Because to me, it looks like he's stopping production. He's got the better army right now, if they're all fighting together. I think that Ozone needs to force the issue here constantly. It's the spearmen with the armor, with the attack, plus the archers, plus the scouts that could make a difference. But man, yellow's got so many. You don't see these scenarios too frequently. If you're ever going to see them, though, it's on Atacama. Remember, Magyars get the +2 attack upgrade for free, so they get iron casting for free when they hit castle. That would apply to any stable unit, any melee unit they make. Obviously, it's just going to be stables here. Oh, man. But as it stands, Ozone's not doing anything to yellow that's making yellow be worried. Yellow's happy to dance. Like, he hasn't even tried to take out a stable. Like, to at least take out a stable so yellow can't produce more. Like, loop around to the gold. Like, Ozone is just flirting in this area, I think, because he doesn't want his reinforcements picked off or something. But he's done nothing of value to yellow's economy. And, again, a big thing would be, if you have an army that can't be fought, take out their production buildings so they at least have to make more. Do something. You can tell he's maybe thinking he needs to keep this army alive till Castle Age, so now he's trying to back away. Yellow has 33 scouts, about to be even more than that. Can he take this fight once he gets light cav, guys? Because he's got the +2 attack. Now Ozone's going to back away. Oh, boy. Now, this is where this woodline looks awful. Also, yellow looped a couple scouts away over here. And Ozone's playing so well, though. The quick walls. But in the meantime, he's lost some army here. Light cav will be in. Ozone's just going to sit in the choke. Like, nope, I will not let you surround me. Oh, man, what a game. I really like how Ciskhan moved these units over here, though. Like, having a couple extra units somewhere else makes it so much more difficult for Ozone to control this. Once again, I'm going to say, though, I'm so impressed with these two and how they played this game. It's been so clean. It feels like something's going to give at some point. 50 army for Ozone. 50. 5-0. He's going to hit Castle Age, and then he needs time to get upgrades. Yellow has fully upgraded Knights and Light Cav. This is the time. This is the time. He's going to take the fight. I don't think the Spearmen and the Archers do enough. Ozone hits Castle, but... No, as he's losing some villagers here, he's going to lose his whole army. From 50 military population down to 10 now. Below 10. And now he's got to deal with 30 army. This game's over. I've been there before where you click Pikemen and then you lose all your units and then you no longer have Spearmen. Yep, it's a sad time. Wow, that was disgusting. So Yellow was patient, Ozone was patient, but in the end, Yellow's patience pays off the most, and Ozone's going to lose this game, and we're going to get to the third one. Yellow just waited and waited and waited. I would have probably felt like I needed to dive so many times when I had more scouts than my opponent. But he respected the Spearmen, and he knew that he could wait until right when his opponent would be clicking those upgrades. Because once the upgrades come in, it's a completely different story. And yes, Spearmen they just don't scratch fully upgraded Knights and Light Cav at that stage. That was a really good game. Now, back to what I said in terms of mistakes. We're talking like this is the stuff the top 20 do, right? These guys are within that top 100, so let's not act like they're not insane already. But from my perspective... Yellow was doing the crazy patience dance for a long time here. And there was a period of time, maybe not here, because I can see how Ozone's thinking he can kill villagers. Unfortunately, he couldn't. But like right about, where was it? Like even here, but like I think it was more so right before Castle. Like this whole period, this whole time period, what does Ozone accomplish? Dancey, 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 dancey. You want Yellow... Like, actually, maybe what it is he's so scared that Yellow will actually win the fight, he doesn't want Yellow to actually fight him. So he doesn't want to do something to apply damage. But what I would have loved to have seen is I want to see him attack that stable. At least take that stable out. And then, Yellow might take a bad fight before Castle Age. Or, he doesn't have as many stables producing Knights and Light Cav, whatever else in the next stage. And then you can move it around. The other thing is you could try and do, though it's like nearly impossible, it feels like when you're doing so many different things, is try and get to his gold. But I mean, this guy was just under so much pressure this game. He didn't even scout the gold because it was just Ciskhan all over him once he dropped the second stable. Really, really tricky matchup. That is why Ciskhan loves Atacama, and I think Ozone's good on it. But there's a reason why people were going to debate if Ciskhan moves on, banning Atacama out because he's just a beast on it. All right, and we find ourselves finally on some green grass, so all you people out there can finally watch and enjoy the yellow on green, which is easier to see. And we find ourselves in game number 3, which will have its similarities for us because there's 4 areas of water, but the water becomes so much more important on this map because there's double the fish. There's double the fish in each pond, which matters an awful lot. I actually didn't realize it was exactly double until this moment. I'm not sure if it's double with the shorefish as well, actually. Because I wonder if Atacama had 2 shorefish and this has 4. I know it was 4 deep fish. Anyways, that's not really important. The exact amount of food doesn't necessarily matter. But we've got Byzantines for Ozone. And we've got Japanese for Ciskhan. So I think in terms of the fishing, Japanese definitely have the edge. Because of the strong fishing ships and the bonuses there. But I think... they would have an issue in this game if Ozone is controlling or competing for a pond because Byzantine fires work faster and their docks have more HP. But then also I think they have issue on land. Like, I think this is all about Ciskhan getting advantages in early feudal and even early castle. I just do not like the Japanese up against the Byzantines. I don't like a lot of civilizations up against the Byzantines if it's an even game in mid-Castle Age. So there's a couple different approaches you can go for. If you're Ozone, you'll know that sneaking a dock is strong. So you could go for the defensive dock initially for fishing ships, and then you can scout him really early. And then you can try and sneak a dock up onto his pond. I think that's probably not the approach we'll see from Byzantines, because Japanese are very frequently going for man-at-arms, which is a lot of pressure. So it's hard to combine docking and also like defending from that. And also another thing about Byzantines is they're actually pretty well suited into defense because of the vision you get from your buildings. Getting Town Watch for free is hugely beneficial if someone's going to do anything to you on water, or if anything's going to happen to you on land as well. So we'll see. And another reason, and I know there's a pro for Byzantines as well because of the faster working fires, but another con to trying to sneak a dock up is you could always lose the villager to a scout, but also Japanese fishing ships are super strong. Now, where Japanese fishing ships aren't really strong and where it doesn't excite you guys is in castle. If it's upgraded fires, those fires will just melt everything. So, I don't know. I have kind of exhausted all the possible options. If I had to guess, I would say Ozone goes for a defensive dock. But they're both going to do that in that fish. But I think we're going to see Ciskhan open up aggressively on land. Ozone will try and defend. And then it's just adapt, 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 adapt. By the way, for those that are catching up on content, I have given you guys content overload these days. There's going to be so much over the next 2 months, especially. So, you know, you can't watch every second, and I get that. Oh, is that a... No way? No way. Oh, Ozone loses a Vill! Oh, I'd be so frustrated. Wow, that was so good from Ciskhan. Because normally you don't fight if there's 3 Vills there. You'd fight if there's 1. But it was the positioning of that one villager being on his own there that allowed that. But yes, anyways, if you want to watch one of the best cross games, you should watch Uzi versus Kamigawa series. It'll eventually be, I think that game will eventually be on YouTube, but no promises. That was an incredible cross game. It was Japanese versus Persians there. So yeah. Scouting is going to be important here. Ozone even scouting to see what Ciskhan is up to. Like, he knows that Ciskhan is going to want to wall this way. And he should see this wood line, and he should say, I'm not going to be able to sneak a villager through there. Yeah, Spirit of the Law would definitely pick Japanese here. But he'd be correct that it's top 5 civilization in this point of view. Not that, or on this map. Not that Spirit has ever claimed that Japanese are top 5 in scenarios that they're not. I just know he likes the Japanese, right? But at least here, it's like you're picking your favorite civ, and it's also one of the very best. Ooh, here comes the Vill. Okay, so this is what we were talking about. I wasn't necessarily expecting it. So I think this is a really poor play from Ozone. Players are always going to wall up that choke, and Ciskhan's checking it, and now Ozone knows because of the pathing. And I think Ozone's going to change his plan here, guys. I think he's just going to send this villager over here to make what you could call like a fishing dock. And he hasn't scouted much from Ciskhan, so he's got a small wall everything. But yeah, this is probably smart. He's not going to try and force the issue and sneak through. All right. Now, this is also really nice for Ozone. This is a good decision to take the left pond, but it's also a good decision to realize that scout's weak. So yeah, a villager was killed, but you paid a price here if you're yellow. You can't move out to the other ponds freely. And so Ozone will get to see everything. He sees the barracks now, and now he sees the range. He pre-walled most things, so if there were man-at-arms, he'd be okay, but look at his vision. Also, checking to see if there's a villager here with that fishing ship. And now he knows his opponent has gone for a range. Keep in mind, though, he doesn't even have a barracks right now. So if his opponent's going to have archers, he's going to need that barracks fast. That wood seems hard to come by. Walling from Ciskhan. Ciskhan also sending this Vill. Now, this scout should be the difference maker, right? I don't know who wins this game, but this is already a talking point, right? And this is a talking point that players should learn from And think about, you've got the scout advantage. You've got to be looking for this, denying this, but Ciskhan's sneaking. And we also have a Vil from Ozone, so they'll likely run into each other. But if Ozone wanted to freely fish on this side as well, he's not going to have that opportunity, is he? There's a barracks for him, and there's his archer range, so he knows. And he's going to get ready. And now he's checking, and I don't know if this is intentional from Ciskhan, but some players do this. You kind of dock the area that you wouldn't expect your opponent to look for. They normally would scout here. But Ozone thoroughly checks. And obviously his Vil's there and waiting. Now you've got Yellow realizing the scout's on the right. Heading over towards the left. Still only one fishing ship for Ozone, though. Usually, you're going to see people add more than 4 fishing ships in their original pond. These guys have not done that. In fact, they're really investing into the land army. I guess with Ozone, he's invested into 3 total docks. Yellow hasn't had to spend as much on his mills, his mining camps, his lumber camps, and there he goes for his berries. And now Ozone's scouting the army. Really good work. Could be possible that Yellow actually sends the army over to kill this Vil. But also, of course, could loop in. Yeah, Yellow's done a really good job with the walls, right? It's protecting his starting pond. He's just a little late to adding some additional fishing ships there, but it's like so difficult. He's producing out of his TC, multiple docks, and also his archery range, and he's got to make the proper decisions with everything. But yeah, Ozone kills the scout, and now he's going to try and save the Vil. I would be okay with this, though. Like, losing this Vil is not that big a deal. You're just going to get one more eco unit right as you lose one. And now you were a little light on army. So you just track this the whole way in, and Yellow's blind. Yellow doesn't know what you have. Yellow doesn't know anything, but I mean, he's certainly confident. And now he backs away. Also, over here, these guys are competing for this pond. We haven't seen anything of real value happen there. Wow, that was actually good micro from Yellow when I looked away. And the Spearman's being annoying. The archers might kind of get out of here. And there's an opportunity for Yellow to go in with another force towards Ozone's base right now. This is really patient micro here from Yellow. Like, no doubt he's doing other things. Ozone's also just making a mistake. Oh, man. Oh, man, this should be an army that you've killed at this point if you're Ozone. And actually, well, they're both focused. So they're both going to get kind of what they expected. Look at the vision for Ozone and look at the awareness now. So he knows he's got 2 ponds. His opponent can't be fishing in 2. So only he's fishing in 2. And then he also senses that an army could come in over here, which is why he's just waiting. And he's got it. And he's going to get a nice early volley from his patrol. And he's in a great spot again. Still has the scout. We'll look to get his walls down. And as I stated before, it gets really awkward for the Japanese in the event that they end up being in an even position against Byzantines later on. Byzantines are just better in terms of their options. I like this, though. I like the 7 fishing ships at home. Ozone's got 5, but he's got the 4 over here, so Ozone still has more fish. And this dock is super important, because Yellow probably wants to fish here. And the villager's been repairing. And there will be a demo, and there's going to be 3 fires here. And he lands with the demo. He should pop out with the fires soon. Meanwhile, he's on the hill, too. Ozone has the army in the better positions, it feels like. Oh, actually, the archers are being pulled this way. That explains it. That's kind of interesting. So he's done this twice now, where he's trying desperately to take these villagers. Okay, so Ozone will lose that Vil. And Ciskhan's closer to clicking up now to Castle Age. But he did pull off the berries. And he still doesn't have as many fishing ships. Greetings, T90. I want to send a respected... Send respects, I guess, to the memories of all the wildlife decimated in order for empire building. Yes, respect to all the animals. Ozone doesn't want to kill these deer because it's... He doesn't want to kill this guy because he's Rudolph. And Christmas is coming up. He's a really nice guy. Anyways, I'm liking the range numbers right now for Ozone. And I'm liking his micro, and I'm liking the confidence as he continues to try and control the map. I don't think there's any holes in his walls from what I can see. He's actually full walled himself. And we might have missed the engagement, but this is Ozone still remaining competitive on this pond for as long as possible, right? Double range from yellow. Triple range, actually. And he's just going to try and force the issue up the middle. And I'd love to see a Siege Workshop. I feel like something yellow can do to win this game. You hit Castle Age and you get your upgrades. So you have an upgrade advantage. And then just Siege Workshop right here. Because look at what he's seen. He knows the gold is there. And he also should recognize the situation in the long term with the Civ matchup. But Civ matchup are... Even if they're the same Civ, they're both going range units. There's all this gold in the middle that you need to secure, and then you want to take advantage of. Siege would be huge. For both players, by the way. I think both players could really use some Siege. Both players trying to be sneaky as well. Ciskhan had 4 archers. He's moved out with small groups multiple times this game. This archer is a weak archer. I don't know where he's going exactly, but it looks like finally Ciskhan's going to be able to fish here. Ciskhan will take more wood there. Yellow's now moving forward. And, oh, this could be such a problem for Ozone. Oh, man. It's so much army. And he wasn't able to track this because he moved over to do damage. He was doing so well before controlling the hill. But now he's got to try and buy time. And he's even dropping a tower back here, so he's concerned. Now he's probably thinking about Elite Skirmisher. Crossbow and Bodkin's in, though, and Elite Skirm takes a lot longer than Crossbowman does. The big positives for Ozone right now is just the fact that he's Byzantines and he's got a cheaper imp possible. But this is obviously painful. And again, where's that siege here? We see a university from yellow, so he wants ballistics. That's also really good. Siege Workshop from Ozone. Crossbow and Bodkin's coming in, but he only has 8 crossbows. No Elite Skirm. Yellow could kill him here. The tower obviously becomes very helpful, but yellow could just go right past the tower. Let's see if he realizes that. Ozone's at the limit with his resources. He's getting Elite Skirm. He doesn't want yellow diving underneath the tower, so some great defensive work there. Pressure's on. Best of 3. This means so much to both of them. Yellow's 5 seconds away from the ballistics upgrade. Oh, boy. Ozone's going to get massacred here. All these vills are going to die. We got 1. We got 2. We got 3. We're going to have 4. But now Elite Skirm's in. And he also has armor as well. And he's also going to have a mangonel. So, actually, maybe Ozone could clear this and finally put a stop to this. What he doesn't want is for Yellow to run around in here much longer. Because he wants to go forward. So he needs like a massive attack round right here. Nope. Won't get it. Yellow is adding siege, by the way. That's a good shot from Ozone. Who could actually, if he wanted to, just use the skirms for this. But that's still a pretty large force from yellow. Ciskhan has a 10 eco lead at the moment. It's villagers mainly. Because he killed so many villagers. He's killed 7 units in this game. In terms of eco. And, oh! Oh, it's a big shot. Yellow is trying to escape. He can't now. So he's going to do as much as he can, but he's going to lose his whole force here. Ozone, he won't be happy with how this went, but he'll be happy he got to clear up that army instead of that army being able to escape. Actually, if he wasn't Byzantines, I think that army escapes. Isn't it? What's the Castle Age HP on a Palisade wall, guys? Does anyone remember? If I'm not wrong, I think it's 250. I'm looking at this. I think it would have been realistic for Yellow to escape. Anyways, Yellow needed siege before. We said it. Yellow has it now. Even wants another siege workshop, and this kind of becomes a micro game. The macro obviously matters too. But the thing I'm worried about if I'm Yellow is just the fact that Byzantine skirms are so cheap. There's a second TC for Ozone, so he actually will be able to catch up a little bit with villagers. And oh man. Yellow's got more army. He's got more eco. He accidentally kills a deer. And Ozone takes that vill intentionally. Because repairs can matter a lot in these scenarios. And he also doesn't want the siege workshop to complete. But if that vill was there, That villager would be repairing that mangonel at the moment. See how Ozone always has the villager? It's technical stuff. Both players having similar upgrades, but Ozone loses his mangonel, but he'll get this one, and he gets another one. And he's still got decent skirm numbers here. So where's Yellow Siege at? Yellow Siege is at 90% over here, but he desperately wants to hold this hill. So he's just going to stay on the hill. And with the hill damage, he can actually still take this fight considerably well. Oh, man, this is intense. 3 TCs for Ozone. Dang. So much easier for him to be able to produce army. Well, I guess I should say produce skirms and villagers than Japanese. But we're not seeing skirms from Yellow, so that's not really a factor right now. Also, things like farm transition is really important now because the ponds that you've been working off of, they're starting to run out of the fish. And when I find a moment, I'll look to see if they're fish trapping. But, I mean, there's so much focus needed here as both players have lost mangonels. And this is probably because of the eco side of things, right? They're probably doing other things at home. At least for Yellow, he's not, though. He doesn't really have farms at all. Ozone does. But we've got double Siege Workshop from Yellow, and it's paying off. It makes sense with all the army. We're seeing another shot. Ozone has to run back home now. This is producing. This is producing. Really, the gold saturation is awful. Like, this is so all in. You don't see double Siege Workshop every day, but in this scenario, I kind of like it. Also, I'm really impressed with the eco count from Yellow. He must be... Oh, no, it's actually a lot of the fishing ships are idle, so he's not adding fish traps. And neither is Ozone, to be honest. You don't have to, but it's deceiving when it says you have such and such on food. Those fishing ships are idle now. Oh, my goodness. Ozone could maybe get a 1 for 3 here if he's not on the hill. And Yellow is on the hill. And that's the perfect spot for Yellow, isn't it? Or is it? He loses 1. Oh, this is so intense. The fact that one of these players is going to have to lose this series is wild to me. They're so close. But Ozone picks it off. He actually picks him off. He's been behind in army and in eco for a long time. Now, I think his eco has actually been more efficient. Quick check the resources collected. Quick. No, he hasn't. I lied. Okay. I didn't get a chance to look at what the food count is. Also, Yellow has tons of vills on stone. He wants a castle. The double Siege Workshop has paid off so much for Yellow here because without that, I think that Ozone would have good enough trades and the skirmishers would be dominating. The micro has been so good from both of them. Split micro. Good split micro. Just a subtle reminder that these guys are not good enough currently to be in the top 50 in the world. Just in case your mind was already blown, that's how good top players are these days. They're trying to be. They're trying to get into that top 50, which is what the whole point of TTL Silver is. Oh, God. We've got so much micro going on here, but the skirm micro there is good. But now Yellow doesn't have Siege again. And Ozone has just had this slightly better fights. He also has the better farming eco, and you do not want a defensive castle here if you're Yellow. You want a forward castle. Finally, Ozone has pulled ahead in vills. And that's definitely because of the food count. Also, these fishing ships were just deleted. He just gave up on it. He's just sick of looking there for his idols, probably. 2 more mangoes again. Ozone doesn't want to add his second Siege Workshop. He's using his micro to full effect as he lands a big shot and goes for more split micro against the mangonel. And he dodges back there and gets another good hit. And actually, that's the perfect fight there for Ozone. And it's 92 eco for Ozone, 74 now for Yellow. And guys, Yellow's food count, his food situation just hasn't changed. Like, the guy has not been adding farms at all. It's just been full micro. Ozone is up to 35 on food right now. He has even added fish traps in some situations. And he's been on 4 town centers as well. If he gets his castle up defensively, I think Ozone goes up to the Imperial Age, and I think he wins this game in the series. His micro has been disgusting. In a good way, of course, for those that can't figure that out. Yeah, it's just been all gold for Yellow, I guess. Oh, man. I mean, he is on the way to Imp as well. What happened to it? Where's the stone? Wait a second. Did he loot? I'm very confused. Let me go back. So, Yellow's got a massive army. Ozone has placed a castle here. Oh, it's a Yellow castle. Okay, all right. That makes more sense. I was like, I don't think he lost the castle foundation. What's going on here? Okay, so Yellow wanted to drop the castle there. The villagers are already on the way. And again, the hill matters so much in these situations. Look at how weak these mangonels are. And Ozone split micro is needed here again. But he gets the job done as he is repairing this mangonel, and Yellow's still desperate to drop the castle. Yellow has to back up, though. He has to wait, and he might be desperate because he's been spotted, so he might just drop it here. Ozone is on stone for his own castle now. And he must have known what that meant. What he just saw was 20 villagers dashing forward. He has to know what that means, and he gets a decent shot. I think 1-for-1 trades are okay, so you can buy time for your own castle. Still 7 on food for Yellow, but good micro. Ozone could still lose his entire army, but he says nope. He'll kill the Repairville. Uh-oh. Oh, God. You don't want Ozone to become Throw Zone here if you're from Colombia, which is where he's from, by the way. Oh, God. He's still a minute away from Imp. Yellow has so much more army. But he gets another big shot. He's still on the hill. Yellow wants to drop it now, but as he grabbed the villagers to place the castle, he loses more army. There's been about a 20 difference in terms of the KD for a while now. And another big shot from Ozone. How many mangonels have gone down this game? Too many. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen Yellow do this a little earlier, right? I think it still could have gotten denied, but with the way this game is going, you just needed to drop one somewhere. Big shot from Ozone. He will not get the mangonel. Ozone's going to drop his own castle right next to this. But he is now in the Imperial Age, and he is Byzantines. And Yellow just taps out. Yellow knows that this castle will just be trebbed down. Yellow knows how all-in this eco has looked. And, well, maybe he doesn't know how it looks, because he probably never looked at it, but he's been well aware that he just doesn't have enough here. So, man, that was a crazy game. You could see how Yellow could have killed Ozone so many times. For Ozone, though, he did such a great job rebalancing his economy after he got raided initially. I think he lost 7 eco. And I think like that was the key difference between the players in the game. Yes, Ciskhan was very successful in this series with his military and his army production. Like, he had so much army. Let me actually look at this. I don't use this every day, but... like, okay, so clearly, Yellow plays with Sato a lot, right? Like, he had more army most of the game, but what he wasn't doing was he wasn't farming and he wasn't investing into his economy. Now, here's the deal. If they were both investing into their economy at the same rate, advantage Byzantines. So that's maybe not even a weakness of Yellow. Think about it. Both adding farms at the same time. Who gets Imp first? Byzantines. Both adding farms at the same time. Same amount. Who makes more skirms? Byzantines. So Yellow's approach was, I need more army and I need more mangoes. However, Ozone's micro was good enough to snipe off the additional mangonels. I wish I had a stat difference on that because it feels like Yellow had double, right? And I think that's actually one of the ways Ozone could have lost the game too, was if he like continued to fight on 1 Siege Workshop and had slightly worse micro. It's one of those games that would tilt him out of his mind, or tilt me out of my mind if I was in his shoes anyway, because you might watch the rec later after you get smashed by more mangonels and you say, well, if I just would have added double siege, it would have been fine. So I really like how the game developed. Ozone ultimately goes through. So obviously he'll get to use that micro up against Licks in a best of 5. So obviously I'm really happy for Ozone as well because we talk a lot and he's in my chat a lot too and he's a cool guy. So excited to see the future for Ozone in Titans League. And honestly, I think whoever wins Licks Ozone, and Licks is the favorite, let's be honest. Whoever wins that series is the favorite to win that whole group. I forget who's on the other side of it, but I know my prediction was that Licks moves on to gold. So, that's something to keep in mind if that series is really competitive and Ozone can show what he showed here in a best of 5. Enjoyable series. I can't wait to see more from Yellow. Again, this guy is kind of this new kid on the block from France. I think he played like StarCraft or something and came over. Anyways, he got really good really fast. And he's playing the game a decent amount. So, also, I want to say shout out to Ozone and Ciskhan, who are really cool with scheduling. There was a situation with Ciskhan's PC, so hopefully that didn't hold him back too much, but they were really flexible with each other to finally get the series played. Sometimes that doesn't happen, right? Sometimes players just might want to take the win in Ozone's position and not actually play against a really good opponent. But they're in it to compete. They're in it to show what they're capable of, and they got the series in. So, good stuff.